Okay, let's talk about something pretty much everyone in the working world has to deal with: compliance training. We're going to dive into how we can take this chore, really, and turn it from something people dread into something they actually want to do. It might sound crazy, but the secret is all about making the rules feel a little more like a game.
Yeah? Does this sound familiar? That little ping in your inbox, the mandatory training email. For so many of us, that's the gut reaction, right? Eye rolls and just dread. It's a feeling we all know, and it's the exact problem we're going to talk about solving today.
All right, so first up, the compliance conundrum. Let's break down exactly why the old way of doing this just doesn't work.
So why do people tune out so fast? Well, for starters, there's just zero motivation. It feels like a chore you have to do, not something you want to do. Then you've got the format itself. Those boring page turners where you just click next, next, next. Throw in a tone that can feel a bit patronizing and some generic examples that have absolutely nothing to do with your day-to-day job. And yeah, you've got the perfect recipe for a total snooze fest. And all of this leads to what we can call compliance fatigue. Sure, people click through to the end just to get it over with, but is any of that information actually sinking in? Nope. And that's the real problem, right? It gives a totally false sense of security. The company checks a box, thinking everyone's trained, but behaviors don't actually change one bit.
So what's the answer? Well, that brings us to Section 2, what is gamification? It's all about applying game design to some pretty serious topics.
At its core, the idea is really simple. We're basically borrowing the elements that make games so addictive. Things like scoring points, earning badges, climbing leaderboards, and we're applying them to things that aren't games, like training. And the reason it works so well is that it taps right into our natural human drive for achievement, competition, and progress.
And these are the building blocks. You've seen all of this stuff before, right? They give you instant rewards, spark a little friendly competition, and can even build a whole story that makes you the hero of the training. It's all designed to do one thing: flip the switch from passive listening to active, hands-on participation. Now, a totally fair question is, doesn't this make serious topics feel kind of silly? And that's a common misconception. This isn't about turning important compliance rules into a joke. Far from it. It's a proven psychological approach to make learning more effective, and most importantly, to make sure that knowledge actually sticks around for the long haul.
Okay, so let's get into Section 3, why gamification works. Because, the proof is really in the numbers.
Just look at this. The data shows a complete night and day difference in how people feel. With the old school training, only about 28% of people feel motivated. But when you gamify it, that number skyrockets to 83%. And look at the flip side. Boredom, the ultimate training killer, plummets from almost half of all employees down to just 10%. This isn't a small tweak. It's a total game changer for the entire learning experience.
And that massive shift in how people feel, well, it leads directly to some pretty amazing business benefits. You get higher engagement, which leads to better retention of the material. That, in turn, actually improves how people behave on the job, which, let's be honest, is the whole point. Plus, you get almost perfect completion rates and way better data on what your teams actually understand and where they might be struggling.
The theory is great, but let's check out a real-world case study. A huge global manufacturing company decided to totally rethink its annual ethics course for over 7,000 employees. They threw out the old playbook and turned it into a fully interactive, gamified mission.
So, what happened? First, this: a 100% completion rate. I mean, just think about that for a second. Getting every single person out of thousands to finish mandatory training, that's practically unheard of. It just wiped out all the time spent chasing people down with reminder emails.
But it gets better. It wasn't just about completion. Because the modules were so much more engaging and efficient, the company saved an incredible 3,700 production hours. That is a massive boost in productivity that you can see right on the bottom line.
Okay, so we've seen why it works. Now for the fun part. Section 4, gamification in action. Let's talk about your blueprint for success.
So how can you actually start doing this? You can begin small. Try using storytelling. Instead of a boring lecture on data privacy, maybe your team becomes a squad of data security detectives. Add some points in a leaderboard for a little friendly competition. And this one's huge. Give instant feedback so people know right away if they're getting it. Breaking the whole thing into levels gives everyone that satisfying sense of progress, turning one big chore into a series of small, fun wins.
And this approach is super versatile. It works everywhere. In the pharma industry, an IT security adventure game boosted policy awareness by 85%. In finance, a cool detective game for insider trading made employees way better at spotting red flags. And even simple things like phishing email challenges have caused a huge, measurable drop in people clicking on dangerous links.
But to really get it right, there are a few things to keep in mind. First, substance over style. The game has to actually teach something. Second, know your audience and tailor the tone. What works for a tech startup might not work for a law firm. Keep it simple and easy to use. You don't want the game itself to be frustrating. And finally, use the data you get to see what's working and make it even better next time.
So, if there's one single thing you take away from all this, let it be this. Engagement is the secret sauce. It's the absolute key. We can't just keep throwing information at people and crossing our fingers hoping it sticks. We have to make them want to learn.
And this quote from the source material just nails it, doesn't it? When the rules feel more like a game, everyone wins. It's so true. The employees are more into it, they learn more, and the company builds a much stronger, more compliant culture. It's a win-win.
Which really just leaves us with one final thought. We pour so much time and money into compliance. So instead of treating it like this boring hurdle everyone has to clear, isn't it time we started designing it to be something that can actually be won?